So, ladies and gentlemen, do you remember that game that was marketed as having pronouns for robots? The game Concord? Yeah, that game is shutting down after just 2 weeks from launch. That's right. They are going to discontinue selling it. They are going to be issuing refunds. They have abandoned the project entirely. It is a spectacular failure, the likes of which we have rarely ever seen. But I'm going to take this video in a direction that you were not expecting. Do you know what game is not at all at risk of shutting down? Zenless Zone Zero. This is a gacha game that is currently on the market. This is one of the recent trailers for this game. Just breathe it in, take it in. They know exactly who their audience is. They know exactly what their audience wants. They know precisely what they're doing. And this is the point. There are many different games that have this sort of waifu gacha feel at this point. We can bring up a bunch of different Honkai Star Rail. You could bring up Genshin Impact. There are a lot of different games that do this. But these games always make money. And do you know why? Do you know why these games make money? It's multifaceted. Number one, there is no wokeness in these games. There's no, diversity, equity, inclusion. The patriarchy is bad. We need to have a cultural conversation about race and gender, and we need to shame people, and you need to believe what we believe about politics. No. There's none of that. It is a purely relational business transaction. You like hot anime girls? Oh, okay. Well, we'll make you hot anime girls. You like these sort of, sexy, suggestive, interesting characters? Oh, okay. We'll make that for you. You pay us money and we give you that, yes? And that apparently works. And it works so well that you can have multiple games that are out at the same time that make a fortune. Here's my point here. What audience does a game like Concord go for? You have hideous designs. The women in that are ugly. You decided to make them overly racially ambiguous to try to appeal to a modern audience. Modern audiences don't exist. The mythical modern audience does not exist. So you are making a game literally for the room of probably purple hair, disgusting, probably smells like rotten fish, overweight feminists in the room, and for no one else. And when it fails, and it always will fail, you have nobody but yourself to blame, because there are games like this that exist to give the audience what they want. No, I'm not saying that every game should do this. I'm not saying that every game should be this. In fact, it would be terrible if it were. But I respect the fact that this company knows what their audience wants and will give it to them every time for the small price of your money. They don't require you to adhere to some kind of faux cult-like delusional left-wing ideology. They don't require conformity. They just say, you give us your money and we'll give you hot anime waifus. That's it. That's the transaction. And it works. And you know what? It used to work in the West. The West used to understand this. But if this were developed by a Western studio, this character right here would be fat, she would be ugly, she would be black, she'd be disabled, she'd be lecturing you, she'd be obnoxious. So you wouldn't get what you want. You'd get what they wanted. Because a bunch of fat, disgusting, unbearable hag feminists are going to try to sell you on themselves. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants them in any degree. But this company can make a game and give you a character, and more people are excited for this. More people liked this video than bought copies of Concord. And here's the magician's code. When you're creating fantasy or sci-fi, it's all the same. Guys are the primary market. You market it to men, guys. You have the main character be a fucking Chad. You have him be ripped. Now sure, customization is great. If some streamer wants to make their character look like a goofball, that's fine. But the personality type has got to be a Chad. And on top of that, remember Mass Effect? There were a bunch of different hot women that you get to choose from. You get to make the choice, whatever character you want. That's what people want. It is a male fantasy for male games. Everything went off the rails. Everything went tits up when a bunch of disgusting women who are fat and unkempt and unattractive and unbearable and miserable and unsuccessful and just absolutely disgusting in every measurable way got into the creative control box and started making things for them. Nobody cares what they want. Nobody wants to play as an unattractive black lesbian in a shooter game or any game, but especially in a game like this or in a game like Concord. People want a more traditional experience that is authentic to the creative process, which is why there are many games that take a more authentic approach and they do remarkably well. Whether the character is black, whether they're gay, shouldn't matter, but it does only because of the low caliber of human being that's behind making it. Their toxic, repulsive attitude. And so Zenless Zone Zero, it's far more pure than Concord or games like it could ever be. It's far more pure than a game like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Because it knows what its audience wants and it gives it to them. And that, for me, is far more beautiful than a game that tries to make you conform through shame tactics or whatever else. But I mean, look at this. You know exactly what they were doing here. They know it. You know it. Everyone knows it. And you know what? The people who play it are going to like it. And they do. They do like it. Asmongold did a reaction to this video and he did the whole, God, guys, this is crazy. This isn't crazy. This isn't crazy. This isn't insane. Oh, this is insane, Asmongold says. No. This is the opposite of insane. This is the only logical choice. This is exactly what the audience wants. And they're giving it to them. And they're not making them jump through hoops for it. They're not shaming them for it. They're not going on and on about how problematic the patriarchy is. No. They're like, oh, you like this? This is what you want? Okay. Give us money. And we'll give you this game. We'll give you this character. We'll make more characters. We'll do more stuff like this. You like? You like that? You like that? Yeah. And in the meanwhile, on the other hand, you have studios in the West creating games like Concord, getting these large investments, $250 million. $250 million. Takes 8 years, and it's an abomination. Do you know why? Do you know why it was so bad? The characters were ugly. They were not really reflective of what roles they were supposed to be. There was no real creativity. It was all about wokeness, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And here's the thing that gets me every time. Whenever people talk about the failure of a game like Concord, they never mention this basic element. That far left progressive ideology and ideals and politics ultimately get in the way of a massive success because they continue to do things that they know the audience doesn't want because they feel that they are on a self-righteous crusade. They feel it is more important that you promote a message and promote feminism over everything else. This company says, We don't care about that. We don't care about your modern politics. We don't care about your feminism or your rock up, degenerate, bottom feeding, subhuman, low IQ ideology. We don't care about that. We just want your money. We'll do whatever it takes to earn your money. We're going to earn your dollar. And that's what they do. That's why this is a far purer product than what a lot of these other companies try to give out. So, I mean, look at this. It's so obvious what this is. The trailer's pretty cool. It's stylistic, interesting, seductive. I mean, look at that. And she kicks ass. What's not to love about this? You know, the West couldn't do this in 2024 to save their lives. There is nothing even remotely close to this because it's one of a couple things. Number one, the West cannot do sexuality anymore. They can't. They can't do titillization. They can't do anything like that. Because when they do it in the most disgusting, over-the-top, ridiculous way, even more than this. And the characters have to display a certain immaturity, and there's really nothing about it that is enticing or appealing at all, because the people that are creating this stuff are mentally extremely immature. And so you take a look at this, and these people knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, and they wanted your money, and they were happy to try to earn it. Meanwhile, Western studios, they don't give a shit what you want. They want you to like what they like. But you don't, because you don't like them, because they're not likable people. They're the worst. Consistently and continuously, they are the worst people in the world. They are authoritarian by nature. They are censorious. Their ideas and their politics are some of the most low IQ and low information that you've ever seen. These are the people that will vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, as insane as that is. And if you want to know why I get political, because these people are political. These people are ideologically possessed. They put everything of their ideology into the game, and it fails. The character designs don't look good. They're bland at this point, one-dimensional. It's far too common that if you're going to have a game like that, you have to have a whole bunch of racially ambiguous characters to try to pander to everyone, and you got to have a big, fat, ugly-looking woman, because, I mean, that's the core of it. When it's in something like Overwatch and they add a fat, unattractive woman, it's fine because there are other characters to compensate. But when you have a game that is purely created on spite, that ultimately affects the process, and nobody wants to play your game. You can get away with a little bit of it if everything else is in working order, but if from start to finish your game is a woke symbol, people will absolutely obliterate it, and that's exactly what happened here. Meanwhile, games like Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero, they continue to do well because they give the audience what they want. And what the audience wants are big titty anime girls. Apparently, that's what they want. That's what they desire. That's why VTubers have taken the world by storm. Some of the biggest content creators in the world are VTubers now. Why? Because most of their models have big tits. And they jiggle around. They call it jiggle physics. This is a no-brainer. If you give the audience what they want, they will give you money. And if you don't lecture them, and by lecture them, I mean tell them that the patriarchy is evil and that, we need to make amends for the sins of the past and try to shame them and going on and on about how bad they are as people and try to talk about racial politics and do it from the perspective of an immature, brain-dead loser leftist. They're not going to buy it. We're not going to pay you for your therapy session. That's between you and your therapist. It has no place in the game. And this is a hard lesson. I wonder if anyone's going to take anything from this. I know a lot of the content creators aren't going to mention wokeness. They're not going to mention identity politics. They're not going to mention that as a reason and a major contributing factor for why this game turned out bad. You know, people who play the game, they actually say that the mechanics are actually not bad. They say, oh, the mechanics aren't bad. There's something there. It is entirely the wokeness, the embarrassing aspect of pronouns for the robots, the lackluster and unimaginative designs, the lack of creativity, all of that stuff was a contributing factor. And so, you have only yourselves to blame. Bad marketing, bad optics, bad design, bad creative, from start to finish, wokeness abounds, pronouns for the robots. You failed. And it only took 2 weeks for them to pull the plug. How many millions, hundreds of millions of dollars could you have put towards something worthwhile if you didn't do these woke fetish projects? If you actually made something for the audience which you know exists and will buy the product. I think we need to bring back traditional masculinity in games and traditional femininity in games. There's nothing wrong with playing as a man as the main character and saving the princess who is hot in the castle, and oh, her handmaiden is also hot. You could romance both of them if you want. Playing a game is about choice, and if your choice is the main character is fat and unattractive, the person that you're romancing is fat and unattractive, oh, and they're the same gender as you, so you have to give in to this LGBTQ disgusting degenerate bullshit, no one is going to play it. I can't believe I have to explain this, but I do. Because there are people that are so ideologically possessed and so stupid they don't understand this. Give the people what they want and they will reward you with their money, and you can go on to brag about how you made this successful game. Until that time, you have nothing to brag about. You are in the wrong. Your ideology is wrong. It's repugnant, obviously. Nobody wants anything to do with it. And ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. Good riddance to Concord. It was a piece of trash. And ultimately, I hope that every woke game suffers the same fate. And by the way, I know that a lot of people say, well, I feel bad for the devs. I don't feel bad for the devs. If you knew the game was going to be shit, if you knew it was going to be woke, you could have said something, or you could have quit and gone online and basically said, yeah, I quit. I quit because I could. If you have an NDA, obviously don't do that, but you don't have to sign an NDA. That's a choice too. You could have gone out there and said, this game is a woke pile of garbage. I'm not having any part of it. You could. Nothing said you had to continue doing this, so you losing your job and the eventual layoffs, because there are going to be many, is a result of your communist philosophy. Your left-wing philosophy is a poisonous, rot-gut, loser ideology that continues to decay and destroy everything that it touches. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you don't, do all those same things. See you next time.